Welcome to the Cognitive Edge, and I'm Dr. Daniel Sabol. Today, I want to discuss um, a technology that could really change how schools, colleges, and employers understand student achievement. It is called the Comprehensive Learner Record, often shortened to CLR. You could think of this as a student ID that students wear, and um, basically it holds everything I'm going to talk about. So, as I have may have said or haven't said, most of us are really familiar with the traditional transcript. It tells us which courses a student completed, how many credits were earned, and what grades the students received. That information is useful, but it provides only a narrow picture of the learner. A transcript might show what a student received in biology. It does not necessarily show that the student designed an experiment or analyzed scientific data or presented findings to an audience or collaborated with classmates or even demonstrated persistence after experiment failed, which we know happens sometimes. The transcript records the results, but it rarely captures the learning process. A comprehensive learning record is designed to provide a fuller picture. It is a secure digital record that can document courses, grades, competencies, projects, um, digital badges, internships, research, community service, leadership, and other verified learner experiences. Instead of asking only what classes did a student take, a CLR asks what can this learner actually do? Consider a student named Maya. Her traditional transcript shows that she completed English, biology, algebra, social studies, and several electives. Her comprehensive learner record could go much further. It might show that Maya conducted environmental research, created a multimedia presentation, or demonstrated information literacy competencies, completed a community service project, earned a digital badge, say from Google about data analysis, and participated in an internship at a local organization. The record could also include links to select projects, assessment rubrics, and verified descriptions of the skills that she has developed. That provides much more of a clear picture of Maya as a learner. Um, the comprehensive learner records could be especially valuable for students whose abilities are not always reflected by the conventional grades. Some students are outstanding researchers, creators, leaders, collaborators, and problem solvers, yet those strengths may disappear inside a grade point average. Um, a student can receive an average grade while demonstrating exceptional creativity. Another student may struggle with timed examinations, but perform extremely well during projects, presentations, or even workplace experiences. A CLR can make those accomplishments visible without eliminating traditional academic information. This does not mean that grades should disappear. It means that grades should no longer be expected to tell the entire story. Um, CLRs could also support competency-based education. Under a competency-based model, students advance by demonstrating knowledge and skills rather than simply completing a certain number of instructional hours. So a comprehensive learning record can document exactly which competencies a student has mastered and which ones still require some development. Um, these systems, they would be scraped constantly and crawl constantly to keep building onto this record. Um, and this really could make learning more personalized. Teachers can see patterns across a student's record and identify strands, gaps, and appropriate next steps. Students could also become more involved in setting goals and selecting evidence that represents their growth. For employers, a CLR could provide clearer information about job readiness. A college degree may show that someone completed a program, but it does not always explain which technical and professional skills that a person has developed. A CLR could identify verified abilities such as research, communication, project management, digital literacy, data analysis, teamwork, whatever digital badges that they've collected, whatever work projects that they've done. So for college, these records could really provide additional context during admission, advising, transfer, and even credit evaluation. For adult learners, they could combine formal education with professional training, military experience, certifications, and workplace learning. Libraries also have an important role in this development. Schools and academic librarians already teach information literacy, the research strategies that you need to be a great digital citizen, media literacy, source evaluation, and ethical technological use. These are significant competencies, but they are often missing from traditional transcripts. A librarian could help verify that a student completed a substantial research project, evaluated competing sources, used databases effectively, created an accurate citation list, and communicated findings responsibly. Comprehensive learner records could finally make these library supported learning experiences more visible. So there would be charts and graphs and so forth of the students' different areas that they have strength in and they have weaknesses in. But we must be careful. A more comprehensive record can also become a more invasive record. If schools begin collecting every click, mistake, behavior, interaction, and incomplete assignment, the comprehensive learner record could turn into a permanent surveillance system. Students should not be followed throughout life by every difficulty they experience in seventh grade. Um, a CLR should document meaningful and verified accomplishments. It should not become an electronic filing cabinet filled with records and data from every point that a student can give it. A school can collect simply because the technology allows it, which really doesn't help us, right? We don't need all that data. Students must have meaningful control over their records. They should understand what information would be in them, who can access it, how long it will remain available, and which elements they can choose to share. Privacy cannot be treated as a checkbox buried inside a software agreement. Equity is also another concern. Students attending wealthy schools may have access to internships, advanced technology, travel, specialized courses, and extensive curricular or extracurricular opportunities. Students in underfunded schools may have fewer opportunities to earn impressive digital credentials. If we are as educators not careful, the comprehensive learner record could document inequality rather than reduce it. Schools must therefore ensure that every student has access to meaningful projects, career experiences, creative opportunities, research instruction, and credentialed learning. A sophisticated record is useless if some students are given far fewer opportunities to fill it. Um, there's also the question of quality. Not every badge or credential carries the same value. A digital badge should represent verified learning, not simply attendance or clicking through an online presentation. Schools are just like employers, they really need clear standards that explain what each credential means, who issued it, and what evidence was used to evaluate it, and what the learner had to accomplish. Artificial intelligence will likely become part of comprehensive learner record systems. AI could help organize evidence, identify patterns, recommend learning, um, and really connect verified skills with college programs or employment opportunities. But AI should not be allowed to make major decisions about students without human review. A recommendation system could reinforce bias, misunderstand the learner's circumstances, or direct students towards limited opportunities based upon incomplete data. Um, a student is more than a data point or profile. Technology can help us understand learning, but it should never be permitted to define the limits of a learner's future. Okay? For schools considering the comprehensive learner records, implementation should really begin with a clear educational purpose. Leaders should ask what problems the record is intended to solve. They should decide which competencies matter. They should also know how learning will be verified, what role students will have, and how privacy will be protected. Teachers and librarians must be included in these decisions. They understand that learning is complex, contextual, and often difficult to reduce to a single score. Students and families should also have a voice because the record ultimately belongs to the learner. The greatest promise of the comprehensive learner record really is not the technology itself. It is really a cool idea and all, but its real value is that it could change the questions we ask about education. Instead of asking whether students completed enough assignments, we could ask what they understand. Instead of asking only which grades they've earned, we could ask which abilities they've demonstrated along with the classes they've taken. Instead of treating learning as a collection of courses, we could recognize it as a continuing process that happens in classrooms, in libraries, laboratories, workplaces, communities, and everyday life. The traditional transcript was created for an educational system built around courses, credits, and seat time. The comprehensive learner record is being developed for a world increasingly focused on competencies, evidence, adaptability, and lifelong learning. But we should not adopt it simply because it is new. We should demand that it be accurate, equitable, understandable, secure, and genuinely useful to learners. The goal should not be to collect more data. The goal should be to represent learning more honestly. Um, this is the real opportunity presented by the comprehensive learner records. They can help us move beyond documenting where a student sat and begin recognizing what that student learned, created, contributed, and became. Um, the idea of a little card or a badge or something that you carry and it has all of your information perfectly laid out is really a nice idea because it helps the students to bring their learning anywhere and everywhere they go. Um, but just like every other thing, such as near field communications or NFC, um, or a myriad of other technology risks that I could think of, um, besides all that, let's just say that this was it's learned that all the data is protected and everything's well. Um, this could be really a great opportunity for students. So, thank you for joining me on the Cognitive Edge. I'm Dr. Daniel A. Sabol. Let's continue examining how technology can support education without allowing technology to determine what education should be or become, for that matter. Thank you. Bye bye.